welcome to SciShow Tangents, the lightly competitive knowledge showcase starring some of the geniuses that make SciShow happen on YouTube. Today, joining us, as always, are producers Stefan Chin. What's your tagline?
Jimmy Wiggle.
We've also got Sam Schultz, artist and media merson, which is like a mer person.
Oh, cool.
What's your tagline?
It would be really hard to be a media person underwater.
They gotta have underwater media too.
Yeah,
For the whales.
Yeah, that's true.
Whale podcast.
And the other meeple.
That's podcast, yeah, for a funny joke.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
What's your
my
tagline?
tagline is, I wish Detective Pikachu was my dad.
We're also joined by writer and editor Sari Riley.
Hello.
How's it going? What's your tagline?
Gel pen enthusiast.
Oh, very good. And I'm Hank Green. Purple is my favorite crayon.
But not your favorite color?
I don't have a favorite color.
What makes a purple different from other crayons that doesn't involve the fact that it's purple?
Are you eating these crayons?
It's the
Is it
crunch.
the grape flavored?
Crunch. It's the crunch. They just got a better crunch. I can't explain it. Every week here on SciShow Tangents, we're just going to move on as fast as possible. We get together and try to one-up, amaze, and delight each other with science facts. We're playing for glory, but we are also playing for Hank Bucks, which are awarded for good facts and good poems and good et ceteras. We do everything we can to stay on topic, but judging by the title of the podcast, sometimes we go on tangents. So if somebody wants to go on a tangent, they can, but then we have to decide whether it was worth it, and if not, you have to give us a Hank Buck. Now, as always, we're going to introduce the topic with the traditional science poem this week from Sam Schultz.
All right, so here's my poem. It's a little weird. Bear with me, all right? It's kind of stream of consciousness.
All right, I like it.
Okay. When I'm being very good, I wake up early and go to the gym. I make time after work to take a walk. I jog if it's not too cold out. I try my best to keep this up, but work gets tough, or there are fun things to do, and I stop being very good. Then I get tired. I run out of breath more. Then the guilt sets in. I'm not getting any younger. I have to think about my heart. I guess I need to buckle down, pack a healthy lunch, sacrifice a few hours every week and get back on track. Meanwhile, my cat sleeps 17 hours a day and can jump 8 feet in the air. That's bullshit.
That felt like a diary entry or something.
I don't know a lot about exercising, so I was trying my best.
Which is our topic today, exercise, which as far as I can tell, to step on Sari's toes a little bit here, I'm going to try to explain what exercise is scientifically. It's when you move around a lot with the express goal of health.
Yeah, I think that's like it.
Me? I don't know.
Do you have to have the goal of health?
Yeah,
or
I don't
can
know.
I exercise without wanting to get healthier? Because does going to go to the hip hop dance club and I burn a bunch of calories, is that exercise or is that just dancing?
Or if I'm going with the express purpose of making my muscles bigger, but I don't care if I'm healthier.
Whoa.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be about health. It can also just be about
Aesthetics, baby.
how are your muscles doing, Stefan?
They're atrophied.
But of anybody here, you probably do the most thinking about lifting
Sure.
and stuff,
I
right?
Well,
do think about lifting
Yeah.
a lot.
And Stefan has definitely weight trained the most.
That's fair.
I don't know that for sure.
Oh, I know that for sure.
Okay.
No, we did a quick spot check. Everyone agrees. Caitlin, sit in the corner. You ever done a bunch of deadlifts? I don't know what that is. Is a deadlift a thing?
Yeah.
Good. I knew a name of an exercise.
Yeah.
It's just picking up a heavy weight off the floor. Sort of like if you're lifting a couch. It's
Or a dead
similar
person.
motion. Well, sure.
Caitlin has written down in the show notes here, when you move around a lot with the goal of health, and then she's strike through'd with the goal of health. So exercise is when you move around a lot.
I sort of think it involves there's some sort of physical adaptation from the motion. Like if I'm just wiggling my arm a bunch, there's motion, but it's not really exercise unless that results in an increased cardiovascular fitness.
Sure.
Because I did so
This is
much
exercise.
wiggling.
I'm exercising.
Hank's making the motion of a shake weight.
Thank you for that Very kind description. I mean, I think I increased my heart rate just there. Who has done this topic to us?
Yeah.
Why?
It's Stefan. Stefan has done this topic to us.
Well, thanks, Stefan. Which is why we're about to turn to you for... So Stefan has prepared 3 science facts for our education and enjoyment, but only one of them is real. The other 2 are lies, and the rest of us have to figure out which one is the true one, either by deduction or a wild guess. And if we do, we get a Hank Buck. And if Stefan fools us, then you get the Hank Buck.
I'm ready to be rolling in bucks.
There's only going to be 3 max.
That's a lot on this show.
Almost as many as you can get, though.
Yeah.
Like, if
We
you
have-
get all 3, everybody else is
I
screwed.
think the top score you can get is 4.
No.
It isn't.
I got 4 one episode.
Yeah, that was for cheating reasons. Hank gave you an extra one.
I know, but Hank can give out bucks wherever he wants.
That's our
so-
Hank Bucks.
That's true.
Infinite.
I'd
Yeah.
like to give one to Sam for his poem.
Thanks.
Oh,
And I'd like to give one to Caitlin because she never gets any.
Oh.
how nice.
And I'm going to give one to Elise, who's listening.
Oh.
Hello, Elise.
Congratulations, Elise.
Have a Hank Buck.
You didn't have to work really hard for it or anything.
All right, Stefan, what's
All
our
right.
facts?
Fact number 1. There's a genetic condition called myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy that results in low body fat levels and up to double the muscle mass of normal humans. So there are no known effects of the condition other than that, and how strong and muscular you are depends on how many copies of the mutated gene you have.
Ooh.
Number 2. Changing your habits to exercise more leads to an increased blood volume in the body. But this increased volume also stretches out your blood vessels slightly, including the ones near the surface of the skin, so you end up losing more body heat to the environment.
Oh, weird.
Number 3, a study of patients who were following aerobic exercise programs lasting anywhere from 3 months to 2 years found that those programs caused the production of new brain cells in the hippocampus.
Those
I
all
don't even
sound
know.
totally plausible. So we've
Yeah.
got a genetic condition that gets you all beefy. It's called hypertrophy or something like that.
Hypertrophy is how I say it. I hear people say hypertrophy too.
Well, I feel like that must be true then, because you've heard it said multiple ways.
Well,
Yeah,
that's just
there were
like
lots
if
of
you're getting
details, though.
swole, like you're looking for muscle hypertrophy. Like that's a common term in bodybuilding
Instead
circles.
of
God.
saying getting swole, they have a technical term for swole.
It's not like their term. It's like a
Sure.
This is
Okay.
like the one thing where I
Sorry.
can't. Like, Stefan knows more science words than I do, and it makes me incredibly uncomfortable.
So that's the first one, hypertrophy.
beefy condition.
The second one is exercise leads to increased blood volume and your blood vessels stretch out and make you cold. And the third one is if you do aerobics for a bunch of months, you can get new brain cells in your hippocampus.
Yep.
What's the hippocampus do?
So you have 2 hippocampi.
Uh-huh.
I do?
Yeah,
What?
they're on either side of your brain. The details of what it does are hotly debated,
Uh-huh.
but it seems important for consolidating memory
Oh.
and possibly for like spatial awareness, like knowing where you are in relation to other things.
Sure.
Yeah, it's deep in there. It's one of the deep in ones.
You sure you have 2?
Yeah, it looks
Wow.
like a 2. Looks like a 2. Whoop, whoop.
I know nothing. This is the episode where I know nothing.
I
It
was
looks
gonna
like
say.
it looks like a weird skinny lobster claw on your brain.
I was gonna say I was gonna like draft off of Sari's answer for this and just copy it, but
Mm-mm.
she doesn't seem to know anything.
Okay. The one thing that I do know is I've seen pictures of small children with extreme muscles,
ripped.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ripped,
Oh.
tiny children. And I
Yeah.
think they might have this muscle.
Or like the dogs that have
disorder?
a bunch of muscles.
Or the
Yeah.
cows that have a bunch of muscles.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen those? Those beefy
Mhm.
beefs?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing, but
Yeah.
But the thing that I don't know is multiple copies of the gene
Right.
make you beefier.
making you beefier. That's
Yeah.
the part that would be a lie
Right.
if I was making it into a lie.
It also seems unlikely.
Yeah.
And then changing habits leads to increased blood volume, but your blood vessels stretch out and it makes you get cold faster. I know that exercise does increase. I think that it like increases long-term blood volume, and that's why sometimes people will dope by putting extra blood into them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great fact that I ended up not using. When like runners run, like their blood cycles through much more quickly. And they have to make more new blood cells because their blood cells are breaking down. And everyone's like, why? And it turns out it's because you squish them in your feet.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I
You're like
knew
jumping
that.
on your feet over and over again. And it squishes all your blood vessels and breaks them.
Killing
And you
your
got to
blood.
replace them.
I'm gonna go with number 2.
Number 2,
Yeah, I have a good gut feeling about that one.
extra blood.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go with number 3, that you get new brain cells. Because I always feel like even though it's really weird to get new brain cells, and I don't know anything about the hippocampus,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with number 3.
I'm I'm gonna go with number 1 because of the beefy children.
Number 1 was the real one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Belgian blue cattle, but those cattle only have 20% more muscle. And apparently in humans, you can get up to double the muscle. And it does depend on how many copies you get. I think this is conjecture on my part, but I think because the mutation in the gene makes you produce less myostatin, which inhibits muscle growth. Like if you have 2 copies, it inhibits it more effectively, and then you have even less.
So this is not something you could induce in yourself somehow?
No, there are apparently some Chinese researchers who are doing it to beagles.
Beagles?
To make muscular beagles.
That's what I've always wanted.
Yeah, a strong beagle.
A real beefy beagle. I want one that can lift up a manhole cover. Don't ask why.
It's weird though to me because they want to use the beagles to like as a model. They're trying to figure out like treatments for Parkinson's.
Oh, okay. So like a disease model.
Yeah.
Why are beagles always the thing that get experimented on as far as dogs go?
It's because they're really like soft and cute and calm. So like,
Oh no.
I don't know. I grew up with a beagle, so anecdotal evidence,
yeah.
but they're just super sleepy all the time and really trusting of humans.
No.
Yeah.
And they're, of the hounds, they're just,
Oh.
I don't know, soft and sweet. And so if you experiment on them, they're more likely to be okay with being poked and prodded and stuffed in cages and
They
things like
were
that.
soft and sweet until we gave them bunches and bunches of muscle.
Yeah.
Now they're hard and smart.
Just like
Still probably
Detective
really sweet.
Pikachu.
Yeah, just like him.
Wait, how is Detective Pikachu hard and smart?
Because he's hard from life on like living on the streets and seeing stuff. And he's smart because he can talk and he's Pikachu. And he solves crimes. Oh, that's sad. I grew up with a beagle too, and he never did anything.
Yeah.
I could have injected him with anything I wanted to, and he would have been okay with it. So what are the other ones based in
So
fact?
physical activity does increase blood volume, and a lot of that comes from increased plasma volume, and plasma is mostly water. And so they think what's happening is that it's basically the body's increasing its water retention, and that's being stored in the blood plasma basically. So you have this long-term like increase in your total body water, and that increases your body's ability to sweat more effectively.
Okay.
So it does involve cooling, but it's
Helps
not
you
blood
cool off.
vessels. It's that your body's like, I can now work harder. I better be able to cool myself more.
Cool.
What a smart body.
Yeah.
Thanks, body. And then the third one, exercise does increase the size of the hippocampus in mice and rats, but does not seem to do that in humans. So they found that aerobic exercise programs helped retain the size of the left hippocampus. And so it seems like it's just helping prevent like the deterioration of the brain that happens with age.
Right.
But only in the left one? I don't know. It's weird.
Wow.
Probably a pretty small study, would be my guess.
This was a meta-analysis.
Oh, wow.
So they were looking at, I think it was 12 other studies.
Okay.
There's nothing we understand about the brain and aging and things like that. That's like a combination of all the things we have big question marks about.
All right, well, you got 1 point, right?
You
No, you got 2 points.
You got 2
2
points.
points
We all
because
went with a different one.
I fooled 2 of you fools.
Yeah, yeah.
And Sarah got
I got one. I'm
Nicely
catching
done.
up.
Nicely done. There's not an infinite supply of Hank Bucks, you people, so we got to go get some more. Let's play an ad. And we're back. I have 0 Hank Bucks. Sarah has 1, Sam has 1, and Stefan is in the lead with 2.
2.
The thing is, I feel like doing the truth or fail gives you a higher than average chance to get more Hank Bucks, but it's also the most work of all of the things, in my experience.
I think that's true. I run these numbers in my head when I'm in the shower sometimes. And I try to think of like what the best way to win completely is. But sweeping the truth or fail thing is pretty hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Sweeping it's hard, but you have access to more points than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yes. So it all balances out in the end. Perfect game design by me.
Perfect.
I definitely didn't just
But
think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, the more important thing is like whenever I do truth or fail, I like have to set an hour of my day over to like that.
It must be so nice to have all this background science knowledge that you can draw
Yeah.
from, that it only takes you an hour.
It's hard when you went to art school. I don't know what to search at all.
Now it's time for the fact off. 2 of our panelists have brought science facts to present to the others in an attempt to blow their minds. The people who are being presented to each have a Hank Buck to award to the fact that they like the most. However, if you hate both of the facts, you could just throw your Hank Buck away. It's going to be Hank versus Sari. And we're going to decide who goes first with one of the traditional feats of physical skill.
Oh my God.
Thumb war.
Oh. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare thumb war.
Oh no.
My thumb's pretty big.
Your thumb is bigger than
Your
mine.
Your thumb is huge.
My thumb is not huge.
Well, it's
I
way
also-
bigger than Sari's thumb.
No,
It's
I don't
a
know.
fine size
well,
thumb.
It's about.
Sari's thumb is pretty
It's pretty small.
Yeah.
I feel like your hands are maybe just big. I don't know.
Your hands are cold, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I have really bad circulation. They're like clammy and cold.
Yeah, it felt like outside Play-Doh.
Cool.
Please
It
never.
also seems like you panicked partway through the thumb war.
That was definitely. Sari was like, I'd like for this to end now.
Because I'm super self-conscious about my cold, clammy hands. And so thumb war is like the worst possible.
Well, I'm sorry about calling you outside Play-Doh.
Oh no, that's totally fine.
Yeah, you're not self-conscious at all.
It was really bad in middle school when
Okay.
I held someone's hand for the first time and they were like, "Oh God." And now, as an adult, as a grown-ass woman, I'm more okay with it.
You're more okay with it.
Still self-conscious.
Not totally
but-
okay with it, though.
Not totally okay, but more okay.
So I think that means that you get to decide if you want to go first or second.
No, I think it means I go first.
Okay.
I won the thumb war.
Okay.
I mean, it was mostly a psychological battle, I feel like, but
Which
but
you
I did
also
still
won.
win. Yeah.
Fair and square.
All right, everybody. By which I mean Sam and Stefan, are you ready? Some researchers were sitting around one day and they thought to themselves, hey, what if we immobilized people's wrists and hands for 4 weeks? Just put them into some braces so they couldn't move one of their hands.
Uh-huh.
And then they were like, but okay, what if we told one group of people who had immobilized hands to just go about their business and live life with an immobilized hand, but we took another group of people and we told them to, do that, but also 5 days a week for 11 minutes a day, sit completely still and imagine moving your wrist and hand around. Just think about that. Imagine the exercise. Imagine moving your wrist and flexing your fingers. That was their experimental design. They did it, and they measured people's strength before and after this thing that they did. And the people who imagined exercising their hands were 2 times stronger after the immobilization than the people who hadn't imagined anything.
Were they stronger than they were before they got their...
No.
Okay. Darn.
They were weaker than they were before they got their hand
So it just
immobilized.
prevented them from losing
as much.
as
Okay.
much.
Having had a cast, it does make sense because the moment your cast comes off, it's just like you just feel like a noodle. You can't even make a fist.
Uh-huh.
And it's not because your muscles have atrophied. It's because all of the connections are just not well established anymore, and you have to reemphasize them. It also makes sense for me from the fact that when I first started working out, I went from being able to do 2 push-ups to being able to do 20 push-ups in 2 weeks. And then I went from being able to do 20 push-ups to 25 push-ups in a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could, I had the strength to do those push-ups already. I just didn't know how to coordinate all of my muscle movements
Oh, yeah.
to correctly do a push-up and feel good about it.
I wish you could sit and imagine yourself stronger and be
I know.
stronger.
It'd be good if you could imagine yourself stronger, but you can imagine yourself less weak.
That's a motivational quote if I ever heard one.
When you get a cast, I've never had a cast before. When you get a cast, do they tell you to do stuff like this?
No,
No.
I mean, not when I was a little kid getting casts all the time. All right, that was my fact, everybody. That's all I got. I should pump it up. That's my fact. It was amazing. Now it's Sari's turn.
So humans have things like weights and pull-up bars and treadmills for exercise, but for rodents, the classic exercise machine is a wheel. And there's a big debate about whether it's stereotypic behavior. And that's not classic mass running on a wheel again. It's defined as repetitive, not natural, and not serving a purpose. So basically, scientists are worried that wheels aren't keeping rodents happy and enriched and behaving mostly normally. So they wanted to test this. Whether wild animals would run on wheels to see if it's a stereotypic behavior or not. There was one study in 2014 from researchers in the Netherlands who set up wheels for about 3 years in urban and semi-urban settings. They set out food as bait for a while, and then they took it away. And across all the conditions, they found that over 1,000 instances of animals running, they were mostly mice, but also shrews, rats, slugs, which is hilarious, frogs, and snails. And there are videos of all this, like a little slug on a wheel. So they concluded that running on a wheel for exercise is natural, but a preprint released this year, just like a month or two ago, or in 2018, a month or two ago, replicated the experiment in Paraguay. And they didn't find the same thing. Like only 2 animals over the course of a year ran. So
Wait,
jury's out.
Where were the first ones set up?
Netherlands.
Oh, so maybe just like Dutch rodents are like bored.
Those northern snails,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that natural because we had to invent the wheels.
Well, not
first,
but
right?
like it's not a destructive behavior. It's not
Yeah.
like a
Mhm.
bad sign.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
They'll do it in nature if given the opportunity.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they were worried that it was just a behavior like gnawing on cage bars or something is an example of a stereotypic behavior where captive mice or something
Right.
are really anxious or really stressed out by their environment. And so they're reacting in a completely wild or stressed out way.
Okay.
Right. Or just like a stereotyping can also be like back and forth and in front of the cage, like wearing out a pattern and just doing that over and over again and not exploring any other enrichments. Slugs, though.
Yeah.
I know.
How's that work?
Good, like they just end up there.
The 1,000 animals is a little bit generous, it seems like. But
Yeah.
the slug was on the wheel. And so I don't want to put value on that. I think that's why the criticism studies have come out, because other scientists are skeptical of what counts as running on a wheel. So like if a slug happened upon a wheel, is that actually a behavioral choice that it's
Mhm.
making? Or is it just ended up in this environment?
So, do they think that maybe they faked the animals getting in the wheels, or what happened?
No, they don't think that they faked it. They think it has to do with the urbanness of the environment, possibly. So in the Netherlands, they put one, I think, right within a city and one that was semi-urban, but
Mhm.
still close enough by that
Mm-hmm.
the animals probably have interacted with man-made objects before. But
Yeah.
in Paraguay, they put them deep in different forest ecosystems. And so
Oh.
when opossums and mice approached the object, they weren't exactly sure how to interact with it
They're
a
like,
lot
what
of the time.
heck is this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did find a weird thing with the opossums. They didn't run in the wheel, but they spun it. They like grabbed it with their little paws and spun it back and forth like a
Oh.
steering wheel kind of,
Yay.
which is a behavior that they've never observed before. And so they were like,
Oh.
maybe we should take away running wheels and give them spinny things instead to play with.
Did they go?
I don't know. There weren't videos of that one, but maybe.
Do animals feel safer when they live in urban environments? Maybe they like.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it's just like a little less stressful than like don't like a little mouse in the
Yeah.
jungle isn't gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna make a bunch of noise and move around in this wheel thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm nervous.
Or like, I know where to find food because I can just go in that trash can and get a French fry or something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
French fries.
Yeah, trash French fries. Well, I think I'm going to give mine to Sari. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I like the cute little animals.
Slugs
Yeah, the
on
wheel-
wheels.
The wheels is good. I'm gonna give it to Hank
All right.
because I like the idea of like your brain just like thinking about exercise.
Mhm.
This wasn't your thing, but I like the idea of like I could just imagine doing bicep curls and get gigantic arms.
That isn't
That's
the,
not
that isn't
what
the thing. It's definitely not the fact. Though there was a separate study where they did fMRI of people doing exercises and people thinking about exercises, and they saw that some of the same brain
Mhm.
regions were involved. So it does activate the same part of your brain, but that doesn't mean that your muscles are going to get bigger. And now it's time for Ask the Science Couch, where we ask listener questions to our couch of finely honed scientific minds. Sam, hit me with Grace's question.
Grace Telesewski asks, what actually happens during stretching? Like, what's the physiological change leading to increased flexibility?
Do the cells just get real long?
Usually not. I'm going to guess before Sarah tells me what she looked up on the internet.
Yeah, because I also had a guess and I was wrong when I guessed.
So I know that with bones, when you stress them, they like new cells grow and they strengthen the bone. Like the bone gets more dense. It can even get bigger. not like longer or anything, but there's more bone in the bone. So I'm thinking that when you stretch it, it creates like little gaps that then get filled in, and you can actually have a ligament get either stretchier or just longer by the stretching mechanism.
Oh,
Was I
Weird.
anywhere close to right?
That was an extremely interesting answer. It was very wrong.
Okay, I'm super wrong, everybody. That's why you got it. That's why scientists do research.
Yeah. So there's two factors that I can tell that have to do with range of motion and flexibility. One is your brain and how your muscles sense how far they've stretched. Wow. So there are these receptors called muscle spindles that are basically like the ouch sensors. So yeah, muscle spindles are sensory nerves that are specifically detecting muscle stretch. And so when they feel a stretch, they send a signal to your brain that makes your muscle tense up a little bit more to protect itself. They're what keeps your muscles from tearing. And so if you stretch too far, too fast, your muscle spindles are what is causing your brain to send a pain response, because pain is all in your brain.
But you can like hurt yourself by stretching too far. Or is it just like, I just got to push through the mental block?
You can hurt yourself by stretching too far, and muscle spindles are aiming to prevent that. But if you stretch a little bit at a time over a lot of time, your muscle spindles will relax and not tell you to tense up as much. So it basically switches off that panic factor of, I need to tense up to protect myself, because there's also a physiological change that happens that makes it easier for you to stretch more. And from what I can tell, it's not making your muscles longer, but it's making them more organized almost. So the way that muscles are structured, there's the muscle fascia, which I think are...
My understanding of the fascia is that it's like just the sausage casing for your muscle.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one. Muscle fascia, sausage casing. There's that's surrounding all the different muscle fibers, and a lot of other fibrous connective tissue in between all that. And as you stretch your muscles gradually, more of the fibers, like the collagen fibers and the connective tissue, line up. So instead of being disorganized, they line up along the axis of the tension. So it lets you stretch the muscle fibers, and like they can slide past each other more easily and a little bit farther.
This answer is 0% what I expected.
Yeah, agree. But it also makes some sense, because the places where I'm tightest, like when I stretch it out, the muscle is like big and hard. Whereas places where I feel like I'm relatively limber, the muscle doesn't like tense when I'm stretching.
And I think that's the same thing with like scar tissue. So if you tear your muscle, then it gets a little bit damaged and it's trying to stitch itself back together. And that just makes everything a little bit more disorganized. So you have to stretch it out to restore normal range of motion and things like that.
I was going to ask if like the stretching in a certain way, could it be negative because you're telling your body that it's okay to go farther than maybe you should be?
Yeah, I think it can. So you have your muscles, and then you have tendons, which attach muscle to bone. And then you have ligaments, which attach bone to bone. And tendons and ligaments aren't super stretchy, but as you stretch your muscles, they have stress on them too, because they're helping everything stay connected. Ligaments are like slightly stretchy, tendons not at all. Those, like your Achilles tendon, for example, are the things that can tear if you stretch too much. And so that's, I think, one of the more common injuries if you stretch too much is stuff starts messing up with tendons and ligaments and how everything attaches to each other. I think it's less likely to just rip your muscle fibers in any sort of significant way, although that still happens too.
Will you very quickly tell me why my cat doesn't have to work out and still can do stuff?
I don't really know the answer to that. I think a lot of it is evolution and just bone structure and muscle structure to begin with. Like, you can do things that your cat can't. You have more endurance. So I think if you had to walk for a very long distance, you could do that better than your cat.
Yeah.
And so your cat is just particularly good at jumping and falling and things like that.
Those are two things I wish I was good at, though.
And yet, here you are, stuck inside of Sam Schultz's body.
Damn.
Thank you, Grace, for your question. If you want to ask the Science Count, you can tweet your questions using the hashtag AskSciShow. We are SciShow Tangents on Twitter. Thank you to Tamar Ziri and Justin Boot and everybody else who tweeted us your questions this week. Final Hank Buck scores. Sari has 2. Mary, you're always pulling it out at the last
Gotta
second.
do it.
I have one. Sam has one. Stefan has two.
We tied.
So we're
Caitlin
tied.
has one and Elise has one because I also
yeah.
gave those away to people. If you like this show and you want to help us out, it's really easy to do that. First, you can leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It's very helpful and also helps us know what you like about the show so we can change things, add things, emphasize things, grow things, exercise things, and let other things atrophy. Second, you can tweet out your favorite moment from this episode because then we'll see it on Twitter and we'll go, ha, yeah, that was funny. And finally, if you want to show your love for SciShow Tangents, just tell people about us. Thanks for joining us. I've been Hank Green.
I've been Sarah Riley.
I've been Stefan Chin.
And I've been Sam Schultz.
SciShow Tangents is a co-production with WNYC Studios. It's produced by all of us and Caitlin Hoffmeister. Our art is by Hiroka Matsushima, and our sound design is by Joseph Tuna-Medish. Our social media organizer is Victoria Bongiorno, and we couldn't make any of this without our patrons on Patreon. Thank you. And remember, the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be lighted.
But one more thing. In 2009, a Japanese astronaut named Koichi Wakata wore special underwear called Jaywear for a month straight on the ISS. It was designed to kill bacteria, stay dry during sweaty workouts, and be flame-resistant, anti-static, and most importantly, comfortable for your butt.
Are they really worried about their underwear catching on fire up there?
They're... I think they're mostly worried about bringing up too many clothes and having to wash them and deal with a lot of things. And so they're trying to invent clothes that they can just wear.
Underwear
great.
you can wear for a long time.
Yeah.
I like
Bring
this
those
idea a
down.
lot.
Yeah, can I
To
get some?
Earth.
Let's look it up, Stefan. I need some socks I can wear for a good long time.
I
Send
want
us
a full
some.
outfit.
I would never have to change clothes again, which I already barely do. So perfect.